Hey everyone, welcome back to Charmed Rewind! We got a sleepy double feature! Woo!
This one will put you to sleep already.
Despite it being called I Dream of Phoebe, I didn't recall there actually being any sleeping elements, but there was sleeping elements in here, so all of the theme really came together from the Patreon poll.
Yeah.
This was the one that tied on the poll with San Francisco Dreamin', so we're doing a double feature here. This is Season 6, Episode 15, I Dream of Phoebe.
You know, like, just going from Season 5 to 6, it's like, yikes.
This is almost exactly a season apart. This is about the same episode number as Season 5 for Season 6, and man, the stark difference. Mm-hmm. Season 5 was already getting annoying, and then Season 6 is ooh.
Yeah, there's issues, but holy shit. Then there's Season 6.
What a negative, cynical season. This season pisses me off so much.
Uh-huh. It's the era of just constant complaining. Everyone complains, they're told anything and they complain about it.
Yeah, complaining all the time. And this is also in the middle of some of their, I guess, darker arcs going on. So it's misery on top of them complaining all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So right at this point in the story, Chris is around. Chris is Piper's time-traveled son, of course. And
we're in the arc of where they're changing him into that.
So yeah, you got the Chris stuff going on. At this point, no one but Phoebe knows that he is Piper's future son because they have abruptly changed the storyline. Leo is an elder at this point. I think he was on the outs, but now he's not anymore. I think they're good at the moment. Kind of hard to tell where he is.
Because he's apparently making requests to send Chris back to the future with the elders, so I guess they're okay.
Yeah, a lot of stuff going on. This is also a lot more plot heavy. I feel like it got very complicated around this point in time. So at this point, Paige is dating this guy named Richard, and he was introduced in an episode where he and his family were feuding with another magical family, but they were using black magic.
The magical Montagues and Capulets or whatever.
Yeah, it was basically that kind of storyline. And they were using black magic. It was corrupting them. It was killing everyone. So there's sort of this magic as a parallel to addiction storyline going on with him, which plays into this episode. Yeah. I think the fact that they distinguish it as black magic, the fact he's using it a lot for personal gain and all this other stuff, I think that's supposed to be why it's different than what they do.
It's really not very different than what they do, because they're always personal gain. It's not personal gain, I'm doing it for someone else. We just saw
I don't know why.
Season 5.
I don't know what makes him teleporting jewelry onto someone black magic, but them teleporting streamers into their hands good magic. I'm not really sure the distinction here, but that's what they're saying.
It's messy, but I do think that is the slightly good story going on in the middle of this giant mess of an episode.
Yeah, I thought this story was interesting because they have these parallels with Paige's story too. She is a recovered alcoholic, which is something they go into when her character's introduced, but I think that it didn't really come into play that much. Mm-hmm. But because of her history, she has this empathy for Richard, so I thought that was doing something a little more meaningful than Charmed usually did.
Yeah, and there's some trying going on over in that storyline, which is really a stark contrast to the other crap where no one cares about each other.
Right. This is also, it should be noted, the second Genie episode that they've done. The first one, the classic French Stewart Genie.
Oh my goodness.
So it's not even the first time they've done this stupid thing, but they're coming back to this well.
We need to do a sequel to Genie Stinks.
Yeah. I think that covers all the storyline stuff going on. Is there anything else that we should talk about before we jump in?
No, we got a lot to go through.
All right. Once again, I had a million notes. The contrast just from the season 5 stuff to the season 6 stuff, it just in terms of notes, ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so sorry, Peter.
just the annoyance level of the characters has jumped up so
People love the later season stuff, so I hope they appreciate this. It is torture to watch this. I sort of enjoyed aspects of the last episode, but man, this was tough.
Look at this! Look!
All right, stupid Genie episode. First shot, Bay Mirror. So we know we're in for a lot of not fun.
Yeah.
So Phoebe enters. Her hair looks just awful.
Just awful.
Just awful. It's this weird in-between stage because at the beginning of the season, she did this pixie cut, which I thought was kind of cute. Some people didn't like it, whatever. But I feel like the way that they've styled it, like it's not quite grown out yet, but they've like spiked it up with gel. I just think it looks bad. Not good. Anyway, so she goes over to the secretary of the newspaper, I guess, and the secretary says that her nephew called, and two dumb things happen in succession here. Phoebe goes, "Oh, Chris called?" The guy that no one knows is her nephew because he's a time traveler who hasn't been born yet.
Yeah.
And then the lady's like, "What? No, it was Wyatt, the baby." And also his mom was the one who called. So what is either of them on about at this point?
Yeah.
And like Phoebe is the only one who knows about Chris being Piper and Leo's son, and she's just letting it spill to the secretary?
Yeah, she can't think at all, apparently. I don't know how she kept the secret from the other sisters when she like immediately was like, "Oh, hey secretary, my future nephew, Chris."
Yeah, it's like they were trying to remind the audience and they didn't know how to do that. Like it's such dumb writing.
They have a conversation about it like shortly after this. We didn't need the reminder.
I don't know. Maybe they just thought it would be funny, but it's stupid.
Yeah.
So she goes into her office and Chris is in there. He jump scares her. He's their white lighter at this point. He's their white lighter at this point. I don't know why. It's never made sense to me. She says, "Hey, where you been? I've been calling you." And he's like, "Yeah, I know. I was busy, so I put you on mute."
Bravo, Chris. One of the smartest decisions I've ever heard of on the show.
First of all, yes, you should put Phoebe on mute. Secondly, this seems to be a new ability for white lighters, because I feel like if Leo had this ability, he would definitely be using it. Yeah. Also, when Paige was first introduced with her white lighter stuff, like she was given like charges and things, I'm fairly certain this was not something she could turn off. That was a plot point.
Yeah. Maybe Chris was so annoyed by Phoebe, he discovered the mute technique.
Yeah. He was like, "I can't go on like this. I gotta use black magic."
Now I'm addicted. Oh, boy.
Oh, boy. So he's like, "Yeah, I was busy. Anyway, now I need your help. You help me out now that I said I'm too busy for you." She takes off her jacket. She is wearing a bra, but her nipples cannot be contained. And they're just like shooting right through this bra. And
she's
the
hot
guy who
for
took
her nephew.
Yeah. The guy who took the sweaty Alyssa Milano screen caps on IMDb apparently really appreciated this shot, so you can find that for this episode.
Oh, wonderful.
There is a smaller selection of shots on IMDb for this, unlike the sweaty Alyssa Milano fetishist collection. But all of them are just like sexy shots of Alyssa Milano. Apparently this month is the month of Chris's conception. He's been visiting some oracles and seers and other stuff, and he says, I quote, "If mom and dad don't screw, I'm screwed." This is where Chris's big plan and them saying that this was the planned arc for his character all along really falls apart. Because he seems confused that he will not be born if his parents are if they don't get together, and yet this was his plan all along to get them apart.
Yeah.
And they try explaining it in this scene, and it makes even less sense.
Well, they have, like, the counterpoint, too, is, like, they have Phoebe talk about, but she just comes off condescending. about things she shouldn't be condescending about. So it doesn't really help it.
No, she doesn't seem to give a fuck. But she says, like, hey, why'd you break them up? Which he did. Yeah. He broke them up on purpose. It wasn't like this was just a consequence of something else he was doing. Part of his plan was break them up. Mm-hmm. And they try to retroactively explain this. He's like, well, I had to get Leo out of the way so I could be your White Lighter and stop Wyatt from becoming evil. Even though he'd already made him an elder, and he was on his way to Elderland when he blew him up to Valhalla, which he didn't need to do. He'd already done this. Yeah. He could have still been an elder. I guess he was like, oh, they'll break up anyway, but it just feels like there are other ways that he could have saved Wyatt that didn't involve him being the White Lighter, especially because he's not qualified for this. He doesn't have the same abilities. Mm-hmm. And he was just going under the assumption that he would be made their White Lighter, even though why would he be made their White Lighter? He's just some future guy that even the elders know he's just some future guy. He doesn't have healing powers. He doesn't have all of these abilities. Mm-hmm. So, excuse me. So why is he... I'm burping because I am just disgusted with this plot. I just don't... This never made sense to me. This was never their plan.
No, absolutely not. All the evil looks from Chris and all that.
Yeah, and he killed people.
Yeah.
He killed innocent people, and they're just like, that was just part of his plan to save Wyatt. Mm-hmm. Or something or other.
Which one did he sleep with when he thought he was sleeping with?
Yeah, there was an episode where 3 witches pose as the Charmed Ones, and then he says that he slept with the one that looks like Phoebe.
Right.
And then that was the Jenny McCarthy one that was supposed to be Phoebe, and she does not defend herself and say that she didn't sleep with him, which seems to imply that they slept together. And everyone, I've talked about this on this podcast before, everyone who's saying in the comment section on YouTube, actually he was lying. Jenny McCarthy did not say he was lying, and she could have to save her life. They slept together. He slept with his aunt. Shut up. I will die on this hill. So, speaking of which, Phoebe asks Chris if she ever hit on him, and he says no, and she definitely did.
Yep.
She definitely did goofs here, because in the episode where they become goddesses, after she becomes a goddess, she hits on him.
Mm-hmm.
Which, this is like a Luke and Leia situation, right? They hadn't planned it, and they're like, whoopsie doodle.
Yeah, clearly.
This was like, it's such a mess of a storyline.
Forget it! I'm not doing it! This episode was badly written!
So he says, someone has to tell Piper and Leo to have sex, and Phoebe's like, no, we're not gonna reopen those wounds. So what if it erases your existence? We can't do this.
Yeah, Phoebe is so stupid about this whole thing.
She's so condescending, as if, like, he needs to get over having his existence erased because he's being selfish.
Yeah. Like, this is, like, a big issue. He's going to not exist. And Phoebe's like, whatever. Oh, maybe I can make time for you in between, like, my columns. Like, shut up.
She's the most condescending character I've ever seen on television. Truly, like, punchable. Just awful.
When she brings up, too, like, why he came back, it's like, oh, it's all your fault for coming back just because your big brother was mean to you.
Oh, yeah, there's, let me get to that part. This whole exchange was stupid. Yeah, so they try to retroactively explain everything that he did. It doesn't make any sense. She says that he should feel guilty for breaking his parents up, but he's sitting here like it's part of his master plan, even though he's not doing that. He's begging her for help because the thing that he planned to do happened.
Mm-hmm.
So why is she saying, like, you're acting like this part of your master plan? It seems like he's begging you for help.
Yeah.
And it wasn't part of his master plan, even though it was part of his plan.
Yeah.
You know?
But as of now, it's not.
And she's like, well, you can't just time travel or in here and mess with people's lives just because your big brother picked on you. And he says he picked on the world. Just to remind people, Wyatt became this evil dictator who ruled the world. Mm-hmm. Like, it wasn't just like a little meanie boo-boo. Like, he was like and world-ending evil sorcerer whatever.
Yeah, like this is like such a condescension from Phoebe to say that.
Because your big brother picked on you. Like, fuck you. I don't even like Chris, and I'm like, fuck you, Phoebe.
Yeah, like this is such a stupid thing to say. It's like, well, you know, it's not as important as their dates and stuff, so who cares? The world be damned.
So stupid. Yeah, because it's not just something that affects him, it affects everyone. It's the world.
Mm-hmm.
She's so, like, short-sighted.
They're always short-sighted. That's the charmed ones. They don't care.
Let me ask you a legit question. Did you like anyone in this episode?
Paige and Richard.
Yeah, that's true.
We didn't get to that point, which, like, I feel like that was sort of in season 8 where they started shitting up Paige too, but at this point she's still kind of the only one that's sometimes good.
That's true. I did like them in this episode. But everyone else, like, fuck them.
The rest are so annoying. Everyone's an idiot.
Okay, so Phoebe lectures Chris for being stupid. And she's like, yeah, I won't help you. And he's like, well, you're willing to help strangers, but not family? Forgetting that she avoids helping strangers all the time. Like, what is he talking about? Mm-hmm. She never wants to help anyone.
Yeah.
Do something, do it!
She picks up one of the letters to her column and has a vision of a woman being attacked in the Middle East. Some Middle Eastern music plays over a bad establishing shot of a dig site in the desert.
Yeah, it's terrible.
Just so you know, it's the Middle East.
Which is, you know, the dig site is just their underworld cave set again, just redressed slightly and lit differently.
When I look at the cave texture, it just reminds me of, like, crumpled up paper.
Yeah, it's
like, it
terrible.
doesn't look like a cave.
Yeah. Like, this is the one, you know, where they just, like, have that quick jaunt down to the underground and kill someone and then pop back up. Which episode that was, but it's one we covered a little bit ago.
Uh-huh. This was kind of interesting, though. How many times does Phoebe have visions outside of the U.S.? I feel like this doesn't happen very often.
Yeah, it's harder for them to get stuck establishing footage of places that aren't the U.S. Can't do that too often.
Yeah, because it's like, they could teleport anywhere, but it's almost always something local that they gotta deal with.
But the way they made this one, like, international made no sense, which I think Chris even points out, and then they just kind of glance over it. It's like, why is this person in the Middle East writing your stupid San Francisco advice column?
Yeah, this really doesn't make any sense to me. So the person who wrote the letter is a woman named Genie. Spoiler alert, Ginny is a genie. Ha ha ha, get your yucks out now. She wrote this letter to a love advice column in the US, saying that she's with a controlling man. So she's written this in sort of a code. But if she knew that she was writing to the Charmed Ones, if she knew she was writing to Phoebe or whatever, why wouldn't she just write to Phoebe? Well, like, she could use her magic to do whatever, to send a letter, right? So why wouldn't she just write to Phoebe instead of the advice column?
Yeah.
Or she didn't know it was a Charmed One, and she just wrote to an advice columnist in the US for some reason, asking for help?
It made no sense. It's such a clunky
I don't really
way.
know
Like,
what the end game was.
Yeah, it should have just been a direct message to her.
Yeah.
It did not have to be this stupid advice column or shit.
If she could use her magic to send a letter, why didn't she just teleport in real quick and be like, hey, I'm a genie, I'm in trouble, help me out.
I'm a genie and I can't get
I'm a genie and I can't get up.
We've been watching Family Matters, that's why that's in my head.
This is when a couple of Arabic men with swords show up, and with no indication that they're demons or magically involved or anything, Phoebe just throws a vanquishing potion at them and obliterates them.
Yeah. I love this, because, like, they could have just been people that were, like, contracted, and, like, they're running this dig site, and they're just like, hey, what are you guys doing trespassing in here? And she kills them.
Yeah, like, I get they were throwing swords at her, so obviously they were a threat, but there's no thought from her that perhaps she has killed 2 human beings.
Yeah. Well, they're trespassing in the first place.
Well, I don't know. I feel like trespassing is a lesser crime than throwing a sword
No,
at
but
someone.
it's like, they're mad that they're trespassing. So it's
yeah,
like,
but I mean, if they were just
know.
trying to defend themselves, like, she doesn't have any active powers, right? Like, maybe Chris could have orbed
Did they throw a sword first?
They did throw a sword. Yeah. It hit the wall behind them.
Okay.
So there was an active threat there, and Phoebe has no useful powers. So
right.
Apparently her empathy thing is still a thing at this point.
Her empathy is I will blow you the fuck up.
Yeah, her empathy is I will blow you away, because they ran out of ideas approximately one day before they inserted this into the story. That's how much empathy stories they had in mind.
We learn too, like, it's not really clear whether these guys are humans still, like, even if they are the thieves that are working for the main villain here, because that's all they call them, thieves. They don't say they're demons.
Yeah, I mean, presumably because they're working for a demon, maybe it could be implied, but we never see them do anything particularly magic. They're just using swords. Mm-hmm. So they may be murdering a bunch of humans in this episode. Unclear.
It's like, Charmed is always so messy, too, about, like, what lives matter. We can kill demons, I guess. Doesn't matter. I don't know. Sometimes we care.
They don't care about human lives. Why would they care about demon lives or any of these other lives?
Sandmen, whatever. They can all die and we'll shrug. We'll snort them up after.
There was nothing as good in this episode as the Sandman turning into a pile of glitter. I'm sorry. So, speaking of comedy, Chris is hit with a dagger in the shoulder.
Yeah.
And then a guy flies in on a magic carpet. And these shots are just chef's kiss.
Amazingly stupid.
Throughout this episode, there are these shots of people on flying carpets. It looks terrible every time. Mm-hmm. It's amazing. It's like French Stewart Genie flying shots with Phoebe. They just know when a genie's around, you have to have bad flying shots. They throw some potions at this guy on the magic carpet, and he drops the genie lamp that he happens to be carrying, flies away like, oh, I didn't expect some potions.
Yeah.
A real scary guy. This is our main nemesis for the episode. So Phoebe picks up this genie lamp and rubs it for no reason.
Yeah. Like, they could have at least made it, like, dirty, like she's trying to read something on it or something. It's just, she rubs it for no reason.
Yeah, for no reason. Out pops Ginny the Genie. Phoebe is her master. I don't think the rubbing really even had anything to do with anything, because through the rest of the episode, it kind of seems like whoever's just holding the lamp is the master. Like, you don't even really need to do the rubbing thing. Yeah. And if you want them to come out, you could just say, come out.
Yeah, I guess the rubbing also called her out. I don't know.
Maybe the rubbing is just like a shortcut, on the keyboard. You like... Yeah. That's just a shortcut to getting her out.
Control V.
Yeah, the Control V for Genie. So, so Phoebe is the master of this genie. We get a long sequence of replacement music over the clouds and establishing shots. It goes on for way too long. I don't think the music was that bad. It seems to be some sort of Middle Eastern-inspired instrumental piece, but it goes on for longer than it should.
Yeah. Which
makes me instantly think that it was a replacement for something.
Yeah.
So, they bring this genie back home. And Leo is there. He's healing Chris. Ginny's like, hey, my last master, he's a demon named Bosk. That's the guy that was on the magic carpet. He's going to be looking for me, so you better watch out. She's also doing this, like, accent that she doesn't have later. I guess because she's playing it up that she's this kind of kooky, innocent person.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is considered offensive or not, this accent that she's doing. I don't know. I'd like people to weigh in that maybe are more knowledgeable about this than me. Is it offensive? I don't know. So, she says that she's been passed around from demon to demon for centuries. They keep getting her bottle. She wants out of this. She hopes that Phoebe will wish her free. And Phoebe scolds her. She's like, no wishes. Because genies are always tricking people. She knows from French Stewart Genie and his weird foot fetish stuff, you don't make wishes with genies. Because you're going to get in trouble.
But you can accidentally say I wish in front of them like a few minutes after this.
Yeah, they're incredibly dumb about this. But also, like, even though we know from what happens later in the episode and from the French Stewart Genie thing that genies do trick people, so they're right to be cautious, she says it so fucking condescendingly that I'm siding with the genie. Like, I'm like, shut up.
Yeah.
Leave your stupid comments in your pocket.
So Leo's like, hey, I gotta get back to Elderland or wherever the hell. And he mentions that Piper's on a date right now with Fireman Greg. Is this the introduction of Fireman Greg? I know Fireman Greg comes up again at some point.
I don't know.
What's the Charmed Wiki have to say about Fireman Greg? The great Fireman Greg. The follow-up to Neighbor Dan. Greg is a mortal fireman in San Francisco.
He showed up a few times.
The relationship ended when Greg saw Piper and Leo sleeping together after Chris made a wish. Well, okay, in this episode, that's when their relationship ended.
He showed up in the 8th season.
Did he show up or was he just mentioned? He was mentioned again at one point.
It says last appearance was the last temptation of Christie, which is 15th season, or 15th episode of season 8.
The 15th season,
the 15th
good God.
Season, yeah. There's a curse for you.
Oh yeah, she bumps into him while she's putting some groceries away. Yeah. The great arc of Fireman Greg.
Why did they bother bringing him back?
Notes and trivia. The relationship between them was the longest for Piper Halliwell after getting separated from Leo. Did she have other relationships? I think by default, I guess. Ooh, Greg appeared in the book Trick or Treat. It's a book lore for you.
Ooh.
At the Halloween Carnival, where he and his team participated in the activity and donated clothes. He saw Wyatt, Phoebe, and Coop and told Phoebe that Piper dropped off a pair of camouflage sweatpants a little while before that belonged to what? A little while before that belonged to Wyatt. Phoebe asked to have them back, but they were already taken by someone else. So they donate some camouflage pants, and Phoebe's like, give them back. Give back these charity clothes.
That sounds like Phoebe.
He appeared in a total of 3 episodes in the course of the series. Great Fireman Greg. Anyway.
Wow.
Just imagining Peter editing this, like, get to the point!
Yeah.
Get off of this Fireman Greg stuff! I got things to do. I want to be with my wife. Anyway, so Chris thinks it's weird that someone would be on a date in the middle of the day. Is it?
No. People go-
Is it weird to go on a date in the middle of the day?
I feel like that's not very weird at all.
Leo acts like he's not bothered by this. He probably is a little bit, but he's trying to be fair. Like, he's like, I just want Lisa. I love her so much.
You must be kidding, aren't you?
He just wants Piper to be happy. So he's like, yeah, I just want her to be happy. And Chris is bitching at him for not being bothered about it. Leo's like, I'm not too worried about that. I'm on my way to petition the other elders to send Chris back to his own time. At this point, I'm wondering, why is Chris still their white lighter? If the elders are at this point where you can petition to send this guy back,
yeah.
Why is he still being their white lighter? Just send another guy in. You have a lot of them.
I just imagine this too, like flushing Chris down the time toilet.
Yeah. No! But I was so likable. If they erased him from time, actually, I wouldn't be sad.
But then they couldn't have done the spin-off, The Chris Show.
There are legit Chris fans out here. I don't get it. I truly don't get it. Like, he sucks.
He's a mess of a character.
He's a mess of a character, and he's not like, he doesn't have enough like redeeming qualities or interesting bad boy moments to be like, okay, this is kind of an anti-hero, you know, like sometimes the character's not meant to be that likable, but they're interesting to watch. Mm-hmm. But this is not the case with Chris.
No.
So Leo says Chris's intentions are good, but his methods put them at risk. His intentions are good. He's killed and attempted to kill many people now, including Leo.
Yeah, he sent me to Valhalla that one time with good intentions.
Why was this good intentions? Also, the way that they resolve this between Leo and Chris in this episode, dubious, not even dubious, just morally corrupt.
Mm-hmm.
This is terrible how they end this in this episode.
Yeah.
So, Chris is bummed. He keeps saying things to Leo that are obviously his daddy issues. He's like, oh, you're abandoning me again. He sent him to Valhalla. You're abandoning me again. You sent him to Valhalla.
Yeah.
What?
You can't really
You
complain
made him
after
abandon
you
you.
did that.
You did it. He's Spider-Man pointing at himself. You.
I love just casually saying, you sent him to Valhalla.
He did.
I know.
He sent him to Valhalla.
It just sounds kind of silly.
Yeah. Leo leaves to go do his thing. Chris says that Phoebe has to stop Fireman Greg. This is the #1 priority. Stop Fireman Greg. And his devious plan to seduce his mother.
Yeah, it's like, Chris comes about these things kind of stupid, but Phoebe's also just so dumb about it too. It's like, yeah, my nephew won't exist. Of course he's kind of worried about this, but I don't want to ruin Piper's date.
Yeah, she keeps doing her stupid phrasing on my own terms.
Mm-hmm.
And this just reminds me of when Cole wanted them to kill him, and then she said, yeah, we will, on our own terms.
Yeah.
Like, fuck you. Fuck you. And she keeps saying, I'll do this on my own terms. And then later in the episode, he asks what those terms are, and she says, I haven't thought of it yet. So this is just on principle. She keeps saying, like, she's not going to do it his way because it's just because it's his way.
Yeah.
She's just going to do it on her own terms.
Remember in her terms where Cole should become the source of all evil? Those were her terms. She pushed for that shit.
I wish that Fireman Greg would kill them all, actually. So Chris starts to orb out, like, peace. And Phoebe says, oh, I wish you would stop doing that. And then the wish gets granted. He can't orb out.
Phoebe is so stupid.
After all of this, like, huffiness about, like, don't use wishes, she just casually uses this wish. She's not worried about it. It was an accident, I guess, but she's not worried. That one didn't seem to have a catch to it.
No.
Neither of her first 2 wishes have a catch to it at all.
No.
It's just what they're supposed to be. It kind of undercuts the whole...
And the next one's a blatant
thing.
wish after she's like, I'm so worried about, you tricking me with wishes. She just goes, I wish Chris could orb again to undo her stupid turn of phrase she didn't need to use.
Yeah. Just dumb.
Why the hell did you do that?
So this is when Paige shows up to Genie sit. And Genie asks again if she could be set free. Phoebe acts like she didn't just do a throwaway wish and says no. I don't think so. So Ginny's like, well, you should be worried about this boss guy. He has a flying carpet and an army of 40 thieves. Phoebe says, well, 38 now because I vanquished 2 of them. How does she know that they were 2 of the thieves?
Yeah.
And again, there's no indication that they weren't human.
Yeah, could have just been 2 really angry guys that worked at the dig site or something. Were security. I don't know. Could have been something like that. She
seems to just think like, ha ha, but I killed 2 of them.
It is kind of weird though, like the main villain guy. He's supposed to be sort of like Alibaba. He even says open sesame, but some white guy. A little weird.
Yeah. I guess demons could be any race.
Yeah, but just when he's supposed to be an Alibaba kind of thing. A little weird.
Right. Yeah, I don't really understand because unless he relocated there. I mean, I guess like there's probably white guys that live in the Middle East, but it just seems like he's been there because he wants to get this magic city.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe he relocated there because he was like, I want this magic city because he speaks English.
Uh-huh.
I mean, not that they can't speak English there either, but everyone's speaking English.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. Strange.
Yeah. If they hadn't have made him this Alibaba type equivalent, then it wouldn't be as weird.
I don't know. They keep ping-ponging back and forth the focus in the scene. It's so ADD. It was really hard to write notes about it. Ginny's like, hey, if this guy gets me back, he's going to force me to grant his 3rd wish, and that's going to be a bad one. They're curious what that is, but they're not that curious because they get distracted when some earrings appear on Paige. And they're like, hey, wait a minute, relationship issue time. Let's not ask about that 3rd wish. Let's talk about this. So Paige is explaining that her boyfriend Richard has been showering her with gifts. They're again kind of recapping what's been going on with his character. He's a boy witch with a black magic addiction. He's using it too much. He keeps trying to make up for some of the stuff that's been going on by just using more magic, which is not what she wants. She's been discussing with him binding his powers. He's not really taking it that well, so kind of a rocky relationship right now.
Mm-hmm.
So Phoebe gets bored with that, so she's like, hey, what about that wish thing?
Yeah, that doesn't have anything to do with me, so...
Doesn't have to do with me.
Genie is like, yeah, that third wish. He's gonna wish for Zanbar, a magical lost city that was the seat of power for a great evil. Does not say what this great evil was. There seems to be some magical properties to the city. Does not explain why he didn't already wish for it as one of his other wishes, or why he is running a dig site to dig this city up, despite the fact he could just wish for it.
Yeah, he had the genie already. It's like, either he could, like... Even needing the city seems redundant when you've got the genie anyway, which is like, can't you just get the same type of power with the genie? You don't need to bother with this middle thing with the city. Like,
yeah.
I don't understand. Didn't make any sense. And yeah, he could have wished for either thing before this happened.
Yeah. Everyone seems to keep, act like digging this city up is some sort of aid to wishing for it. Mm-hmm. But it's a wish. You just wish for it.
And they wished for it at the end, so the dig site was pointless.
Well, they find it in the dig site, and then she wishes for it to be resurrected or whatever, because it's all buried.
Mm-hmm. But they were digging for it.
Yeah, they were digging for it, but they find it before she wishes for it. On the dig site, they find it.
Okay. They could have just wished.
It's just pointless addition. Yeah, just to, eat time, basically.
Yeah. Everyone's an idiot.
Oh my goodness!
While they're talking about that, Paige gets a bracelet that appears on her from Richard. So Phoebe tells Paige to get Richard's family to have an intervention. Paige points out most of them are dead because of that magical feud, so kind of hard to have an intervention.
Phoebe's like, oh, I didn't remember that because it has something to do with you and not me.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
Chris comes in to complain that he can't orb. Phoebe uses her second wish to undo the first one. She says, I wish he can orb again. Again, no consequences to this. Yeah. Wasted a wish. Doesn't seem to be concerned about this. Mm-hmm. She's like, all right, I'm going to help you with this Piper and Leo thing, but on my own terms.
Shut up, Phoebe.
Cut to Piper making out with Fireman Greg. Chris comes knocking at the door and says that Piper has to go. Fireman Greg takes umbrage at this. And he's like, well, who the hell are you? And he's like, I'm a friend of her husband's. And Piper's like, ex-husband? Even though they never got divorced, so they're not exes.
No.
I think they might have some papers or they're in the process of it or something, but they don't actually get divorced.
Yeah, I mean, they're separated at the moment, but not exes.
Yeah. You could say it's your ex maybe, but not ex-husband, because that would imply that they are no longer husband and wife, and they are.
Yeah.
So, Piper and Greg kiss... Fireman Greg, sorry. Piper and Fireman Greg kiss.
Over the ghost of Naber Dan.
Yeah, ghost of Naber Dan cries. Chris scoffs at this. They kiss and he goes...
Yeah. Honestly, I thought that was pretty funny.
Piper steps out of the apartment and she's like, well, can this emergency wait an hour or two?
Piper.
Can this emergency wait?
But they annoy me so much when they pull this type of shit, like any of the churned ones. It's usually Phoebe or Piper. But it's like, I would just love if Phoebe was dead by the time Piper got back and there wasn't some magic way to reverse it. It's just like she finally saunters in. She's like, well, I did it. I fucked my fireman and now I'm ready to do the thing. And then Chris is like, well, Phoebe's dead and we can't do anything about it. Too bad, Piper. The end.
Well, at least I gotta make out with Fireman Greg. My one true love.
And Chris is like, no, it can't wait. Can't wait 5 fucking minutes, Denny.
Where's my money, Piper?
Where's my money? What kind of drugs are you doing, Piper?
That was Richard. What kind of magic are you doing, Richard?
What kind of magic are you doing, Richard? I don't know.
Stop ganging up on me!
Anyway, Chris says, no, it can't wait. It's a demon. And she's like, well, the demon can wait 5 minutes while I say goodbye.
The world just ended. Oh, well.
Oh, well. Well, we already fucked the world last season with the Sandman thing, so what are they worried about?
Well, no one cares about the world ending, because that's just your big brother being mean to you.
In the Middle East, Bosk is ordering his guys around to dig up this magic city for some reason. He says, open sesame. Dumb. One of the guys gives him an amulet to protect him against witch magic. This only protects him for 2 seconds later. Like, this is so pointless. It just eats time again.
Gives him, like, 1 extra hit point.
Yeah. Pointless. So, meanwhile, Paige goes to talk to Richard. About how much magic he's using. He's like, well, I'm just trying to make you happy. Why are you being ungrateful about this? Don't you want to be happy? He gets mad and leaves. I don't think there was a lot of issues I had with this scene.
No.
Most of the stuff with them.
It comes off like
was
the way
decent.
it's intended. Like he's someone who can't see his own issues with what's going on with him.
Yeah, and especially people who are dealing with addiction tend to lash out at people.
Yeah,
say some things that they don't mean.
Yeah, because they don't want to hear that.
Mm-hmm. So I thought this was pretty decent.
Yeah, it's well acted between the two.
This is also, I should note, his last episode that he was in. I kind of wish they'd done more, but I guess the conclusion, if they had done more, it might have undercut a little bit of what they did.
If Charmed was a better show, it would have been nice had he stuck around, because I thought what he did in this episode was interesting, and there's ways to utilize him without him using black magic.
Mm-hmm. So, Phoebe is in the attic. She is making a vanquishing potion for this boss guy. She tells Genie she's sorry she can't set her free, but it's too rocky right now. Can't set you free right now. Chris and Piper appear, and Piper is wearing the poncho of hiding her pregnancy.
Yeah.
At this point, Holly Marie Combs was actually pregnant, but they hadn't written it into the story yet. So she was filmed in a lot of close-ups, wearing a lot of ponchos around this point. They waited a while before they actually did this. I guess they wanted to wait till some point in the arc to reveal this.
Well, till they, said that they were going to have Chris, I guess. That's part of the reason why they switched the story, right? To Chris being their kid.
Yeah, I think that's part of why they changed the story. I think maybe they also waited a little bit because they just didn't want to write that much about her being pregnant. She was pretty far along before they, revealed it, and then, you could still see her belly kind of showing in the shot, oh, you're my kid? What?
That's me in there.
Oh, did you not notice? And then the next episode, it's oh, well, baby's coming any day now. All right? I think, too, when that happened, Grandma Ghost showed up, and it's oh, yeah, I'm having another kid. Never came up. What? So, Chris goes over to the Book of Shadows to point out Bosk's page. He's got some weird layout I haven't seen on any other page in the Book of Shadows. All of them seem pretty uniform, except for Phoebe's stupid Sears portrait Cole page.
Yeah, this one's drawn like a comic book almost.
Yeah, it's this circular picture of him, and then the text is circular around him, but it's nearly illegible.
Yeah.
The font's really bad, and it's the layout is bad.
Yeah, because it says he can be defeated with the following ingredients, and then there's a colon, but because it curves around the picture, it's pointing up, and then the ingredients are down at the bottom of the page, so the colon is not anywhere near where the ingredients actually are.
Yeah, graphic design is my passion, basically. Really bad. But I don't know, maybe someone a long time ago wrote this page before graphic design was a thing, and they're just I don't know, I'm just getting fancy with it.
At least I didn't put a Sears photo in here.
Yeah, ugh, that'd be stupid.
Put his turn-ons are.
What the fuck was Phoebe thinking? The amount of comments that I got for that podcast on YouTube where people are I thought the picture of the book that you put in that thumbnail was a Photoshop you did. I don't think that was actually what was there.
I wish that had happened while they're looking this guy up. It's his turn-ons. who would write something like this?
What's wrong with them? Ye old Phoebe? As usual, Piper's in a rush. Wants them to vanquish this demon before Fireman Greg's shift ends.
Let's get a move on, people.
And then she's like, oh, while you're at it, put the genie back in the bottle. We've been burned before with French Stewart. We don't want that to happen again. Put that genie away. You can play with your genie later, Phoebe. Put it away for now.
This could actually just be French Stewart in disguise. You never know.
Yeah.
Oh, I've been found out. Oh my goodness.
He's in the same outfit. If later on in the episode, Richard becomes a genie, but he's not wearing the French Stewart genie outfit. He's not wearing any sort of genie outfit that you would expect.
They didn't try it all with his genie outfit. It was really dumb.
We know that boy genies wear what French Stewart would wear. Come on, put him in the French Stewart outfit.
Yep.
It's almost like they thought it looked too stupid and would undercut a lot of what they were doing there.
Well, what do you know? It's not every day you see the stupidest thing you've ever seen.
So anyway, Piper leaves the room. I forget why she does.
She's
Probably just to
go
bitch at
yell,
someone.
Yeah, probably. Or break something or break someone.
Yeah. Phoebe puts the genie away. She says she feels bad. And Chris is like, oh, yeah, you should feel bad.
You don't even know what a googly is, do you, Phoebe?
You don't even know what a googly is, do you? Guess what? You aren't. Stupid Chris. He's like, yeah, you should feel bad, because if Piper and Leo don't bang, I could end up half fireman instead of half white lighter. As if that's how it fucking works. What's your logic, man?
If Marge and Artie get together, I'll never be born.
I love his logic that he will still be born if she gets with Fireman Greg. And also, like, fireman is like a nationality, an ethnicity.
Yeah, it's a power.
Half fireman.
He's sort
It's a power.
He half knows how to put out a fire.
Yeah, he can only do it a little bit half-assed. It won't put the fire out, but it'll make it a little smaller.
Yeah.
There's a page in the Book of Shadows with Fireman Greg on there, specifically the Fireman Gregs of the world. Here's how to vanquish him.
Yeah, it really, whether it would still even be him, like, if they had a kid, like, no one, that's a weird question to go into. But it's more likely just Chris would not exist. Which is,
I don't know, maybe they're going with the Simpsons logic, because there was the Bart.
The Barty Ziff.
Barty Ziff, yeah. He was still Bart, but he had, like, better hair, I guess. And not better hair, but different hair.
Yeah, I mean, you never know how that would work. If someone got together,
we've never had any scientific testing of this.
We need kind of time travel to prove that theory.
Maybe it's already happened. Who would know? It's time travel.
Yeah.
It's already changed it. Maybe you and I didn't exist before now.
We're in the other timeline.
The Charmed Ones, the Charmed Ones time traveled, and then our parents got with different people, and then, like, we were both different people.
We're a result of the Charmed Ones. I guess we're pure evil.
Yeah. Anyway, Chris is like, hey, we should make the genie, we should do a wish so the genie makes Leo and Piper bang. And Phoebe's like, ew, gross, you can't do that. That's vile. Also, it's against the rules. Whose rules? I don't know. I don't know whose rules she's talking about. Certainly it's morally wrong, but...
rules.
Like, is it against the white lighter rules? Is it against the genie rules? Is it just, the rules of decency? What is she referring to? So Phoebe again goes,
I'll do it on my own terms.
and he goes, well, what are those terms? And she says,
I haven't thought of it yet.
Shut up.
Just flames on the side of my face.
This is when one of the great, terrible effects of the entire show happens. Bosk busts through the stained glass window on a magic carpet, like flies at the camera. The perspective, the screening, it was all bad.
A whole new world. New fantastic point of view.
Now on you tell us now where to go. Or say that I'm not Phoebe.
Where she like flew right through Phoebe and chopped her in half.
It looks masterfully terrible. It's just so good. On the way in, he knocks out Chris, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, glass jaw Chris.
Phoebe tries to vanquish him. His amulet protects him. He gets one extra hit here. So Phoebe wishes Genie free to help her out, and she appears in all black, so you know she's evil now.
Apparently, yeah.
Genie says, "Who's the master now?" and then blows the guy up.
Yeah. So this is similar a little bit to that episode we just covered in season 5 with the Sandman, where it's like, Axel's the main villain. Just kidding. It's Tracer Demon. And now it's like, Boss. And it's like, just kidding. It's Ginny.
It was Margoyle all along.
Yeah. If it was really Margoyle, then this would be a masterpiece episode.
So Piper steps back in and immediately is trying to kill Ginny. She hasn't done anything to reveal she's evil yet. She just blew
killed
out the
the
demon
bad guy.
She killed the bad guy, and then Piper's like, "I'm gonna kill you."
Yeah, she goes for the explosion and lazy hand wave. Like, what?
Yeah, maybe she wasn't actually going to be evil, but because they did that, she's like, "Fuck you, everyone for themselves."
Yeah, it's like, well, they just tried to kill me. All right.
Yeah, she does like a combat dive onto the magic carpet and then takes off.
Yeah, like maybe she was actually grateful at first until Piper tried to murder her.
Glad I was helping.
So she's like, "Hey, where's Phoebe at?" She disappeared. And it turns out she's inside the bottle. She's become a genie. She's taken her place. She's in a blonde wig and a stupid costume.
She's a Phoebe in a bottle, baby.
Don't let her out. It is basically the I Dream of Genie costume, but in blue. Even the inside of the bottle is modeled after the I Dream of Genie set.
Yeah, like they should take this bottle and stick it in concrete, like the lament configuration. But of course that'd just lead to Phoebe in a giant genie bottle in space.
This is so stupid. This is one of her dumber costumes. Even they seem over it by this point. But because Chris is the one who picked up the bottle, he's her master now. And Piper tells her to get the hell out of the bottle, but only Chris can command her. Like,
get out!
So Chris commands her out. She poofs out doing the I Dream of Genie arms. Mm-hmm. And then Piper laughs at how stupid she looks. And then Phoebe's like,
how come I always get the wig?
Yeah.
So, like, in universe, this is a wig?
Yeah, in universe, it's a wig, so Phoebe could take it off if she really wanted.
Yeah. Maybe it's like the movie Clown. She's turning into a were-genie, like he's got the wig, but he can't take it off. So maybe she's got the wig and she's trying to remove it, but it's like making her scalp bleed.
It became like his real hair kind of in that, right?
Yeah, but it started as a wig and he couldn't get it off, and then it started blending into... So she has a wig, but she can't get it off, and then it's going to slowly turn into her hair.
But then it'd just be her hair, and she shouldn't say, I have a wig on.
Look, the only reason this happened is because I Dream of Genie, she's blonde in it, so they were giving her the same hair.
Exactly.
The other lady, it was just her hair. She wasn't wearing a wig or anything, it was just her hair.
The Genie bottle, too, is like... It looks like a Genie bottle they got like Michael's or something, but they got one that kind of looks like the I Dream of Genie bottle, but it's kind of worse. It's like the I Dream of Genie bottle at least like has this metallic sheen and stuff. It's like purple. Theirs is just like a matte pink. Kind of looks cheaper.
The prop they have for like the actual bottle reminds me of a toy that I had as a kid that was like a genie bottle and it was all plastic. Yeah. Doesn't look real in any way, but I liked the toy. So Piper yells for Leo. He shows up and he goes, "Uh-oh." This is not even the only uh-oh in this episode. I feel like everyone's going, uh-oh.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Piper is a great... Oh, no.
Oh, no. Piper says Phoebe was dumb and made a wish with a demon. And Leo's like, oh yeah, well there's a warning on the bottle. In Arabic. Ginny was a demon who, I guess they didn't know she was a demon until then. He's like, Ginny was a demon, she was put in that bottle for not marrying a sorcerer.
Yeah.
And if anyone tries to free her, they're gonna switch places. It seems like she got a real bad deal, right? She just didn't want to marry this guy, and then she got cursed to be in a bottle? Like, I'm kind of siding with her in this episode.
Yeah, it's all a bunch of crap. Like, Leo came and knew this Genie situation was happening earlier. And yet he comes in and is like, oh, you should have known you can't free her. It's like, why didn't you say anything earlier? Why didn't you go, hey, I should look at the Genie bottle or something. Make sure there's not an inscription on there that says don't free this.
Yeah, this seems to be not the case with every Genie. I don't think French Stewart Genie started out like he didn't marry some sorcerer and he got cursed into a bottle or whatever. I'm not sure what his story was, but like, I'm not sure this is always the case, but he seems to act like this is not surprising news to him. He reads it like, oh yeah, typical Genie warning here. And then he tells Chris, like, yeah, you're stupid for missing this. Which...
He missed it too! Leo was there!
He missed it too! Yeah, which, there's only two possibilities here. Okay, so, like, Chris just didn't check on this, and he could read it, or he couldn't read it. But, like, it seems from other episodes that White Lighters can read and understand, like, every language. So he should have been able to read this, unless he doesn't have all of the White Lighter abilities, which he doesn't, in which case, why is he their White Lighter? So either he missed it, or he didn't have that ability to begin with. Either way, he's the worst person to be in this position.
Yep.
He didn't read the warning label, but I mean, Leo's acting like he should have been able to read it, so why didn't he see it?
Yeah. Leo
It wasn't like fine print. It was written in big letters around the whole thing.
Leo could have tried to check it out too. Stupid Leo.
Yeah, but I mean, there's a possibility Leo didn't see the bottle, but
He didn't see the bottle.
he seems
but...
to act like this is the pretty standard issue.
Yeah, the way he comes in and acts like, oh, you should have known. It's like, well, maybe you should have said, I should look at the bottle then, when you came in earlier.
Yeah, real, he just bungled this whole thing. So Piper's like, hey, Phoebe, don't you have empathy powers? Why didn't you notice that this lady was lying to us? And she's like, well, she tricked me. And the Book of Shadows. Because she was touching that earlier and it didn't do anything. Like, demons aren't supposed to be able to touch it. No other explanation.
No.
She tricked them.
Yeah, she tricked them somehow.
You can't say, like, they tricked them. Otherwise, any ding-dong who wanted to steal the Book of Shadows could just trick it and then grab it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like,
Yeah.
Phoebe, sure, you can trick her. It ain't that hard. But, like, her empathy powers are a bunch of bullshit anyway. I bet they weren't even real. She just makes it up so she can make everything about her.
Yeah,
but, like,
absolutely.
this Book of Shadows thing, like, this is... it makes no sense, but that's their explanation.
Phoebe's too busy having empathy for herself to notice what the Genie was doing.
I don't know how she tricked her too, because she even said, like, genies are tricksters. She had all of the knowledge available, and yet was still fooled. I don't understand.
Yeah, well, it's like Phoebe's like, yeah, you're not going to fool me, and then immediately says, I wish, and goes, oops, can I undo my wish with a wish? So it's like, Phoebe's so stupid.
Yo, we heard you like wishes, so we put a wish in your wish.
You want to trick me with wishes? Oops, I didn't mean to wish for that. I wish I didn't wish for that.
I wish I didn't kill that fish.
And that's when Phoebe realizes it's raining donuts.
Yeah. What's a donut? So Leo's like, all right, so we just got to get Ginny to wish Phoebe free, and then they'll switch back. That's how you're going to solve this. Chris, meanwhile, is ordering Phoebe around to try and get her to assist with the parent fucking thing.
It's like the parent trap, but the parent fuck.
Yeah. The parent thirst trap? Does that work?
Oh my goodness!
So, he's speaking in code about this so that Leo and Piper won't catch on. Leo is like, hey, I know you're in the middle of something and Chris is your genie master, but anyway, the elders have agreed to boot Chris out. I'm sure this won't complicate anything. We're just gonna boot him out of time. And he points out what is obvious. Chris has done more harm than good as their white lighter.
Yeah.
Which is true. He's killed multiple people, and he's not qualified for this.
No.
Leo is absolutely correct. And Chris is like, this isn't about that. You're just mad at me because you think that I let you down. He tried to kill him. He sent him to Valhalla. What is he talking about?
Daddy-o.
What does Leo think this means other than, like, being his father? Who says this about some stranger? You think I let you down?
Yeah.
Who the fuck are you? We met when you sent me to Valhalla.
Dude.
This is dumb. He says, I wish you would just get over it. So Phoebe grants it, and Leo's cool with him now. I bet you're wondering how this is reversed. It isn't. He just leave it at the end of the episode. Just magically changed his feelings to get over this.
Yeah. I kind of wish, though, that Leo did act like this more often. Like, it's all great, man. I don't care.
It was better than watching sullen, depressed, gritty Leo, because eventually you get a little tired of it.
It's like, Leo just needs to smoke a couple joints once in a while, loosen up.
Whoa. Like, he gives him a hug. It's all cool, man.
Yeah, whatever.
So Piper gives Paige a call, but she's having an intervention for Richard with his ghost family, because it's really easy to just summon the dead in this universe. You can just summon all of his family.
Sometimes you can't get rid of them when it's Grandma Ghost.
Yeah, when Grandma Ghost comes around, you ain't... she ain't leaving. Yeah, so when he shows up, the ghosts stick around for like 2 seconds and then disappear because it costs too much to keep doing the effect.
Yeah, it's so funny because just...
like, why are they there?
It looks like... they didn't expect to, encounter any turbulence in this intervention. Like, whoa, he's putting up slight resistance. We're out.
Look, we're dead. We got enough problems here. We can't be dealing with this. Look, I know you're going through something, but as a ghost, I need to practice self-care, so I'm heading out. Bye.
Ghosts for Phoebe the whole time.
Oh my god. This is more of the same stuff. Paige says that he needs to use this power stripping potion to help him. He teleports out. He doesn't take it well. Things aren't going great. Meanwhile, evil Genie is killing a bunch of Bosk's dudes. She just showed up at the dig site and just... There's 40 of them, so there's plenty to spare.
Yeah. Rusty, you want to follow me? Okay.
If they were that easy to kill, and even like their bosses are just killing them willy-nilly, how does he still have 40 thieves after so long? Do they just keep rotating them out? Like, you don't have to be one of the 40 thieves. There's going to be more. Anyway.
Put up like a listing, like needed 2 more thieves. Show me your credentials. Like, what have you stolen?
The pay's not great, but there is a dental plan. So she wants to find the lost city now and also get the Genie bottle back. So that's where her plot's going.
Yeah. Basically, it's like, I want to do the same thing the other guy was doing.
Cool.
Awesome, yeah.
Tag. I'm in.
Yeah.
In the attic, Chris comes in to find Leo writing some stuff, and he's like, hey, Piper said to hurry up with some of those crystals, because Genie Phoebe is getting on her last nerves. He calls her Genie Phoebe.
Yeah. And they're like, whoa, Piper's angry? People must not be sleeping. Something's wrong.
I love he calls her Genie Phoebe, because it's not her being a genie that makes her annoying. She's just doing her usual Phoebe thing, but he's just like, she's Genie Phoebe now, so Genie Phoebe is getting on her last
her
nerves.
Official title.
Leo is busy writing him an apology. So clearly the stuff going on with this spell making him, or this wish or whatever, making him forgive Chris has not put him in the right mind. Mm-hmm. So the fact that they are not fixing this and don't seem to care or be concerned with this should mean something, right?
Yeah, and like, I don't know, this had to have been like an extra Genie twist that Phoebe put on there. Because this wasn't part of... He just asked him to get over it. He didn't have to be this weird obsessive over it, except Phoebe did that. So you can thank Phoebe for this extra part of it.
She threw some of her stink out there that makes people obsessed with trivial bullshit.
Yeah. Probably like, ooh, columns. Leo could be into columns too. Maybe he'll write.
Chris is truly Piper's son, because he's just like, yeah, well, I got a lot of letters growing up from my stupid dad. I don't care about these stupid letters. Just fuck Piper already! He lies, just a bald-faced lie to Leo's face. He goes, you still love Piper? Not true. Cannot be true.
Yeah. After, like, the bullshit of the last episode we covered, where it's like, oh, Leo and Piper are meant to be, it's really appropriate. The next one is one where they're separated.
Yeah. This is where all roads lead to this. Leo said that nothing short of a miracle is going to get him and Piper back together, so forget about it. Downstairs, Genie Phoebe is backseat potioning Piper? Why did I write this? Backseat vanquishing potioning Piper. I did mean to write that, but saying it doesn't sound good. Basically, she's correcting her on a bunch of stuff on this vanquishing potion.
Actually, Piper.
Yeah, and Piper is like,
Back off! I've given up a lot to be here.
her date with fucking Fireman Greg.
Yeah, truly, no one has sacrificed more than Piper.
So Paige orbs in. She's pretty bummed about Richard. But Phoebe in a dumb costume makes her chuckle a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Lifted her spirits.
Stinky Piper, is just mad that she had to postpone a date. Yet there's Paige dealing with something real. Like, she don't care.
Yeah. Yeah. Whatever.
Paige, you realize I could be on a date right now?
Lots of dates.
She was asked to bring a ghost along with her. Like, since you have one there, you got a spare? And she's like, yeah, I brought Richard's dad's ghost with me. The plan is to have the ghost possess Ginny, and then have the possessed Ginny wish to free Phoebe and switch them back.
Yeah, I guess this ghost is like in a box or something, because we
never see him.
Yeah, like he's probably one of the ones we saw that pieced out during the intervention, I guess.
Yeah.
But he never talks. It's not a real character.
Yeah, I'm sure he probably was in the episode where his family was introduced, but
not in this one.
Yeah, we don't see his ghost. This is just setting up a plot point for later. So Chris and Leo come back in. Chris puts Phoebe in her bottle so that he can have a one-on-one with the help. He calls her the help.
Honestly, I liked that too. It's what Phoebe deserves.
This is like swept away with magic. Like finally, like she's getting hers.
Yeah.
The doorbell rings. It's Richard. He's come to apologize and magic some flowers. Missing the point, Richard. Chris is in the kitchen with Phoebe. He's bitching in the kitchen. He says, Leo's in a good mood. Piper is sexed up from the firemen. So why don't we wish for them to sleep together?
She's sexed
That's a weird thing to say about your mother, that she's sexed up from the firemen.
We just need, I love he just acts like, she's sexed up from the firemen. We just need to point her in another direction.
Yeah, but I don't know what the point, what's the point of them being sexed up from firemen or otherwise if he's just planning on having a genie spell to put them together? You don't need any of that to wish them to have sex.
Like tentacles just come from Piper and latch onto whatever she plans to mate with. It's like, all right, just at the last second, we'll push Fireman Greg out of the way and put Leo in there and latch onto him. It'll be too late.
Piper wants snoo. Ah!
No!
No! I was free!
Piper, we just made Chris, you idiot!
It's time, snoo!
So, he wishes for them to sleep together. Genie magic, Leo and Piper pass out in the living room. They are sleeping together.
Wow. Which Phoebe purposely did, so that means she also purposely made Leo write letters.
I guess. She just thought his penmanship was really bad. He could have worked on it. So Chris bitches a bunch, puts Phoebe back in her bottle. Meanwhile, Paige and Richard are talking. She says that he has to choose her or magic. She's got an ultimatum now. But all of this is interrupted when some of the thief guys show up and toss Chris around.
Not that
so Paige
many.
Comes in.
It's like, I'm going to come with all my arm. Nah, just a few of them.
Just a few of them. I do like that Paige comes in. And, this was a pretty good fight for her. She was just grabbing swords and stabbing guys.
Yeah.
They disappear. Ginny shows up and Paige traps her with the crystals. They've created a force field to trap her in. Richard comes in and he takes the bottle and then teleports out. And he's like, yoink!
Yeah. I'll take that.
I guess he's got some plan about winning Paige back with this genie.
Richard was also the one who knocked Ginny down with a magic spell or whatever. That's how they trapped
her. Did he?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I see. I missed that. I was taking notes. Paige is talking trash talk with Ginny, and she's like, as soon as I put you back in your bottle, I'm going to put it in the microwave. Microwave you? Meanwhile, Chris tucks his parents in on the couch. Tucks them in gently. Paige comes in and she's like, all right, what's up? What's going on? And he's like, well, I wished for them to sleep together. And she thinks that he's some registered sex offender from the future. Registered. Registered sex offender. At least he's registered.
Yeah. Glad he got
That's
caught.
why he time traveled back, because he was on the registry, so he had to go back to before people knew. And he's like, don't worry. I assure you, I'm just their perverted son. Don't worry about it.
Oh, gross.
So that's how she finds out. Meanwhile, in Richard's black magic vault, I'm sure this was introduced in the other episode. I didn't remember it. It was only when Phoebe said, hey, we're in the black magic vault, that I'm like, oh, I guess this is a black magic vault.
Yeah, sure.
Phoebe's in her bottle on a shelf. She runs back and forth to make the bottle fall off, and then that lets her out.
Yeah.
Apparently you could just do that, knock it over, and you can come out.
Yeah, that was weird. It feels like that was something maybe from My Dream of Genie or something. Seems something stupid that would happen on that show.
Yeah, maybe. Richard's looking for a book of wishes that has all the right wording in it so that you don't have any genie tricks. Apparently there's a book written for this. He wants to wish for Paige and everyone else to love and accept him, to forget about all this stuff and just move on. He could have just said, like, get over it, and then Paige would have loved him, because apparently Phoebe's really good at just making someone love someone, no strings attached.
But he doesn't want her to write a bunch of letters after.
He's like, I don't really want to bother with this. I don't want them to know I'm illiterate. That's his biggest problem. Whoa. So Paige orbs in. She's pretty upset about the Chris thing. I guess Richard's an issue too, but she's upset about the Chris thing. She throws, I think, a power stripping potion at him, right? She throws something at him.
Yeah,
so it must have been that.
Was.
It wouldn't have been a vanquishing potion.
No, I would hope not.
I think she's just trying to strip his powers, and he gets rid of it, and he tosses her down, and he hurts her. At the house, Fireman Greg shows up to surprise Piper. Chris answers the door like, well. It isn't Fireman Greg.
Piper's sleeping. He's like, I don't believe you. Well, surprise. Take a look and see.
It's pretty funny. Like, he uses his powers to make unconscious Piper cuddle with Leo. I do like, too, I think this was a line that got kind of glossed over. When Chris answers the door, he says, like, a little booty call, huh? Again, this is his mother. So, that's the end of her relationship with Fireman Greg. He wanders away until season 8, apparently. When they meet in a parking lot, fatefully.
Really need the return of that guy.
I think maybe this is during when, like, Leo's is frozen ice, or something. Yeah, Leo's on ice, so it's like, should she date? No! You idiots!
Yeah, that'd be kind of weird.
Yeah. So, in the kitchen, Ginny is still... I think this was the kitchen. I don't know, it's somewhere in the house. Ginny is still trapped, so she summons a flying carpet, and then it hits the force field, and that cancels it out? Apparently she could do that?
Yeah, that didn't make much sense. I think that's still in a conservatory or something like that.
Yeah, it might have been. I did like the shot of the CG carpet crumpling on the ground. It looked really bad.
It did. Yeah.
It's like, what? What are we looking at?
At first I thought, like, she was trying to use the carpet, to get her out, and then when it, like, turned to, ash, it didn't work. But then she walks out and was like, oh, okay.
No, I thought it turned to ash, but then I looked closer and it had folded up.
Yeah,
it was
like
just so
black,
muddy
though,
looking.
right?
It was black, I think, because maybe they did some sort of, like, they darkened it to look like it was canceled out or something, but, like, it was so muddy looking, it was hard to tell what had happened at first.
Right. It was a crappy effect, but it was supposedly burnt up or something, but I thought it didn't work, but then she just walks out of the cage like, oh,
yeah,
okay.
It was like, oh, all right. She threatens the unconscious Piper and Leo and tells Chris to take her to the bottle. Take me to the bottle! At Richard's house, he apologizes for hurting Paige. He feels pretty bad about this, so he wishes Phoebe free, thus making himself a genie, And he's just wearing an outfit that looks almost exactly like the outfit he was just wearing, but just like more black,
it's like
I guess.
A black button-up shirt and I don't know, black pants or something. He reacts to like, what is this? Like it's a weird outfit. It's like, what?
Yeah, it was barely like I would not even notice this was a different outfit, except it's a plot point that he's a genie now.
Yeah, he should have had like a genie vest and big genie pants.
They robbed us of him in the French Stewart genie outfit. Come on, guys. You can't sexualize Phoebe and then not sexualize him by putting him in the French Stewart genie outfit. Equal fan service. So Chris and Ginny show up. Ginny tosses a bunch of them around. She grabs the bottle and she wishes the charmed ones dead. So Richard grants it and they all die. Apparently you can use genie wishes to just wish people dead. If anyone with a genie could wish the charmed ones dead, first of all, French Stewart genie episode, this whole council of dudes, the council of evil that were apparently the most evil dudes who ever lived, and I think come back in the last season, summon French Stewart genie. They don't think to tell him, hey, just kill the charmed ones, that's our wish.
Yeah.
They just go like,
simple.
hey, just annoy them for a while and then maybe they'll die. Fuck, we fucked it up. All he's doing is just sniffing their feet. Why?
Did any of us think, we could just wish them dead? We can do that? Yeah.
Yeah, except for like Deus Ex Leo, they would have been fucking dead.
Yeah.
This is dumb. So, you were looking this up, Phelan. Apparently, this was the 6th time that Phoebe and Piper have died on the show, and the 7th time that Paige has died.
Yeah.
Paige has been around for 3 seasons now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and she's already ahead of them in the death count. She was really booking it with these deaths. This is a lot of deaths.
Yeah.
They still had 2 more seasons to go. And the comics.
Ridiculous.
I'm sure in the books it must have happened. Maybe in that one with Fireman Greg when Phoebe's like, give me those camo pants back. And then he like takes a fire hose and strangles her with it.
Like Paige, like she's the most, at risk one to die because like Phoebe and Piper might just not care.
Yeah. That's probably why she's died so much. They're like,
Yeah. Yeah, you could save Paige. Nah, pass.
Some of you may die, but it's a sacrifice I am willing to make.
So Ginny puts Richard back in the bottle and leaves. Credits. The end. They're all dead.
I wish.
Chris has not disappeared despite the fact that his mother is dead. He's like, Paige, Phoebe, you can't be dead yet. It's not your time. He just seems annoyed that they're like ahead of schedule.
Yeah.
Not that he's lost his aunts, but like, you can't be dead yet. This isn't how it happened. They all become ghosts. Their ghosts come out and they're like, ugh, ghosts again.
The best is Piper, though, because she floats out of her body and goes, oh no.
Oh no, am I dead again?
That's her reaction to death. Oh no.
Yeah, this is every time she dies now. She just goes like, oh no.
Oh my goodness.
So that's what happened when Death killed her and made her Death again, I think. Or maybe it was when when she was poisoned or something. I don't know. I distinctly remember her dying, falling down the stairs and going, oh no. So she's a ghost in the living room. She looks down at their unconscious bodies. Well, her corpse and Leo's unconscious body. And she's like, Leo!
Leo! Bring me back to life, Leo!
Yeah.
Unconscious Leo knows he's a little bitch boy. He has to do what she says. So his hand glows.
Yeah.
And somehow brings her back to life. He somehow brings her back to life. So she goes back into her body. By doing this has somehow trapped Paige and Phoebe's ghosts there. Like, they're not alive, but they're...
I didn't
I
understand.
guess because the wish wasn't fulfilled. I'm not sure why that would happen.
Yeah, I didn't feel like that made much sense, even whatever explanation they were trying to give it. Like, because they said, like, oh, because we don't have unfinished business because Piper was alive. So it's like, their unfinished business was making sure Piper was dead too. I'm not sure what the hell that
Did
meant.
they say it was unfinished business?
Yeah, because they're like, I don't have any unfinished business, do you? They're like, don't you? But they apparently seem to think they didn't have any unfinished business. They were ready to pass on. But they're like, oh wait, we can't be dead unless Piper's also dead. So we need to come back and finish her.
We don't have unfinished business. You fucking morons. Well, they're stupid. They're like, hey, if Piper... Chris says, like, well, if Piper was dead, then I'd be gone. But he wasn't gone when she was dead. She was dead at one point.
Yeah, she was still technically dead for a bit, so you should have vanished, I guess.
Yeah, so they're like, I don't know. Anyway, we're going to go find Ginny so that we can possess her and reverse this.
They could have at least done, the Back to the Future thing where he's, like, starting to fade out until Piper goes back in her body.
Yeah, until he goes to the Under the Sea dance and then plays Johnny Be Good or whatever.
You know that new sound you're looking for? Yeah, never mind.
You know the sound you've been looking for? Listen to this! Replacement track. Yeah. That sounds nothing like Johnny Be Good. Wow, that sucks.
And then Chris vanishes.
Anyway, Ginny has found the lost city. So she's like, hey, resurrect this city, Richard Genie.
Resurrect this city with rock and roll.
Resurrect this city. Resurrect this city.
And then like a PlayStation 1 cutscene plays as this crappy CG city pops
it's
up.
Terrible. They thought they could handle a whole ass city. They can't even handle a rug. And they're like, a city.
So bad. There's only like one shot. You sort of see it behind them. And even in that, it looks bad.
Again, I don't know why they had to find it for him to do this, but apparently they did. But Ghost Phoebe and Ghost Paige and Chris, they show up. Ghost Phoebe hops into Ginny and wishes Richard free so that they switch back. Chris stabs some guys.
There's one guy on the ground, too. It's really funny. Like, as they stab him.
Pretty cool. Richard is now the one who owns the lamp, so he wishes the girl's alive again. And they're like, well, what are we going to do with her and with this bottle? And he looks at the lost city as if he has a plan, but they don't elaborate what it is. I'm assuming he put the bottle in the lost city and then lost it again.
Yeah.
Like, let's lose the city.
I'm not sure.
But yeah, it should be noted, he does not reverse any of the other wishes. He doesn't wish Piper and Leo to wake up. He doesn't wish for Leo to not be drugged out anymore or whatever. He doesn't undo any of these things.
No. Well, he doesn't have that many wishes, right? He has 3.
I guess. Well, I mean, yeah, he only had the 3 of them, but these wishes are not undone by anyone.
No.
He could have handed the bottle off to someone else, and they could have undone all this stuff.
They could have planned it that way.
But anyway, they don't really explain what that means. You just have to guess. But I think he chucked it into the lost city and made sure it disappeared again.
Yeah. Because, like, yeah, Leo, I think, tells him, like, hey, can you get rid of that city?
Yeah.
I do like, that Richard was an important part of it, how they actually, had the 2 storylines come together like that. It's one of the things I liked about this stupid episode.
Yeah, they did. This also, it ties into what happens in the next scene. So this one I thought was pretty good. Paige and Richard have a serious talk about all of his issues. And he decides he's going to give up his powers. He takes the power stripping potion, but he also has to give up his relationship with Paige. Because of what happened with the genie and all this other stuff, he's constantly exposed to these temptations. You know, it's like giving an addict a bottle, making them work at a bar, like P3, where Paige goes constantly. Or, it's just too much temptation. So he has to give up a lot of things to better himself. So I thought, it was pretty good.
Yeah, and Paige drops a tear and stuff. I do wish, though, that they had said, he was still going to stay around, he could do potions or something like that to still be helpful.
No, I think the point is, with an addiction, sometimes you have to cut yourself off. I think that's the point. It would be too much temptation.
Yeah, but they just got rid of the character. That's the point I don't like about it. I wish... he had to stay off black magic, and that's why he couldn't have personal powers, but could still use him in some way, because I liked seeing someone who's also useful in this episode.
Yeah.
And it's a shame that they wrote it in a way. It's like, well, that's the last time that's going to happen.
Yeah. I think the reason that he was in this state was because he wasn't using magic, but then he did to like help them out, or it was like little things that kind of led into this,
right.
I believe, through his arc. So yeah, I think the point was that like he loved her, but he had to let her go because it wasn't a good situation for either of them.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it was a shame that he went away. He was an interesting character.
Which opened the door for other boring boyfriends. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
she usually has, I feel like Paige's relationships were the more interesting ones. They usually added more layers to it than even like the Leo and Piper thing. Like there's a lot of issues going on with Leo and Piper.
Yeah. Like I said, I do think it's the best story by far in this episode, but I do think it is kind of muddled by the fact that it's like magic is an addiction, but these idiots let a baby conjure a dragon and all this shit. Like they're so stupid with magic.
Yeah. So at home, Chris is freaking out because his parents are still asleep and he'll cease to exist, but for some reason they wake up.
Yep.
Never explained why they wake up. They just do.
Yeah. Yeah, so it acts like almost like the other wishes were reversed, but then we find out that Leo's still all high, Mr. Cool Guy with Chris, so it's like, okay, so they aren't reversed. Yeah. They just woke up for no reason.
They just woke up for no reason, and they don't even act like, oh, this was miraculous, like the power of love woke them up or something. Like it was just like, I don't know, they just wake up and then the scene continues. The power of Chris. Yeah. They're wondering why they were sleeping, and they're like, Genie did it. A wizard did it. So they're like, yeah, all right, I guess. Leo is still under that spell that he forgave Chris, because he said like, hey, do you still forgive me? And he's like, yeah, of course. And then they just move on. Like no one else seems to be concerned with undoing this. I guess because they're like,
we're tired of you bitching, Leo. Just because he tried to kill you and send you to Valhalla.
Phoebe explains the whole dying thing. She's like, yeah, we all died. And Piper's like, oh yeah,
I remember something about that.
So she remembers Leo healing her, so they seem to be sparking somewhat of a relationship again, because they're going to go get Wyatt from daycare or something.
You see her tentacles starting to come out and latch onto him.
Sexed out from that fireman.
She was not, it wasn't explained to her that Fireman Greg broke up with her while she was sleeping, I don't think. Chris is pretty bummed that they didn't fuck, and that's the end. The ending is he's sad they didn't fuck. Phelan, this has been going on forever. What are your final thoughts on I Dream of Phoebe?
Total garbage, except for the Paige and Richard plot.
It's pretty bad.
No more.
All right, short and to the point. Yeah, pretty much the same. It's rehashed. It's not very good. It's an excuse to have Phoebe in a costume again. I don't think they did it even as well as the French Stewart Genie one, because that you can at least kind of laugh more. But everyone's fucking annoying, except for Paige and Richard.
Yeah, everyone's the worst. Yeah, everyone just does not want to do the plot. It's just like, just go away then. Why is this show about you if that's all you do, whine about having to do anything?
Yeah. All right. That's our final thoughts. Who was your Margoyle, Phelan? And if you have a car man, who's your car man?
All right, Margoyle. I'm going to give special mention to Piper, just for her like not wanting to do the plot because she's on a date. That was stupid, but my Margoyle is going to Phoebe. She was the most annoying in this episode. Could not stand Phoebe. Absolute moron. Just wanted her to die. Almost every second of this episode. Like either she's whining at Chris about, him not wanting to poof out of existence and demeaning the end of the world. Or she's being an idiot as a genie. My car man, I have special mentions for Paige and Richard, but my car man is going to go to Chris for putting Phoebe on mute.
It's a pretty good reason.
Yeah. I also got a couple chuckles out of Chris being mean to Fireman Greg, so so that's why he gets my Carman. Allison, who was your Margoyle or Carman?
I think this is a first. My Margoyle is your Carman. I gotta go with Chris. I'm sorry, what a fucking loser. He wrote himself out of existence for his stupid plan that didn't make any sense. Yeah. And then he has the gall. This whole episode, he's trying to get his parents to fuck. He has the gall to act all like everyone else is, being a mean to him because of this thing he did himself. You deserve to be written out of existence. You fucking moron.
It's very fair. He's my Carman for stupid reasons.
You know what? Sometimes they can be your Carman, sometimes they can be your Margoyle. Yeah. Your devil or your angel, You
have a Carman?
I'm gonna go with Paige on this one, because I feel like she had a pretty good storyline. I liked Richard too, but he did sort of save the day though, so maybe he is kind of the hero, right? Yeah, I'll give it to Richard. All right. He saved the day.
Battled through his magic addiction, came through it.
Yeah, he was dealing with real problems, and then Piper's bitching about Fireman Greg. Fuck you. All right, that does it for this episode, I think. If you guys enjoyed this podcast, we'd appreciate it if you liked, subscribed, or reviewed wherever you're enjoying this podcast on. You can find us in audio form at anchor.fm under Charmed Rewind. You can also find us in video form on YouTube, youtube.com/Movie Nights the series, or you can check out Phelan stuff at youtube.com/Phelis. Or you can support us on Patreon if you would like to vote for episodes of Charmed Rewind or see episodes early or others, all sorts of perks. You can support us at patreon.com/Movie Nights or Phelan stuff at patreon.com/Phelis. Thanks to Peter Hunter for editing the podcast for us and doing the theme song and doing all sorts of cool stuff. You can find him on Twitter at Preacher Hunter. You should also check out Riff Tracks the game, because he worked on it and it's pretty cool. What hashtags would you like to do, Phelan?
There was an establishing shot of the desert they used that showed a beetle, so hashtag Ron Beetle.
It's just taking the trending tab by storm. We can't keep spamming it, Phelan. All the Ron Beetle fans are going to be mad at us. Hashtag fuck you, Phoebe. Yeah, that could be it. Ron Beetle, fuck you, Phoebe.
Hashtag sleep and shit, Piper.
Sleep and shit. Rest in piss, yeah. Piper. That's it. We'll see you Charmanders next time. Bye.